Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast, where we talk about everything and anything franchising. Today is a little different. I'm with a gentleman by the name of John Dwyer, or JD, as many of us know him. Hello, JD.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well. And we're going to talk about something today, about something a little bit different, not strictly franchising, but how you were able to get Jerry Seinfeld to represent a brand that you were looking after and how you can help other people do the same.
Oh, it was so easy, Glenn.
It was so easy. Of course it was. Okay, so quickly, your background. Let's jump into that first.
My background is direct response marketing. So we have an agency called the Institute of Wow, and basically we help businesses with direct response marketing. As that phrase sort of, I guess, infers, it's all about getting a direct response rather than just building a brand.
Yeah, excellent. So, all right, so we've got out of the way about what you do, the Institute of Wow. Mm-hmm. What was the thinking behind Jerry Seinfeld? Tell us a little bit of a short clip of the story about the Jerry Seinfeld thinking, when it happened, and a little bit of detail on it. Good,
mate. Okay. Let's go back to when I was born. Just to scare you.
Let's not.
Just to scare you.
I've said to someone, not the birth story before.
No, one of my clients was the Greater Building Society, and they're a challenger brand in terms of the banks, because the big four, are massive. And they're the 250th biggest business in Australia, but small compared to the Commonwealth Bank. Mm-hmm. And so when I convinced them that they were a challenger brand, they're never going to win on an interest rate, because Westpac's going to always beat them. Think outside the square, like a challenger brand should. And that is a difficult task from time to time. Everybody thinks they're the leading brand. We're the Coca-Cola, but they're not. So anyway, I convinced them that they actually should consider maybe stop marketing on price, which is interest rates, and give away a Happy Meal toy. So we created a campaign called Get a Home Loan, Get a Free Holiday. And the holiday was pretty much paid by getting rid of the honeymoon rate. So they stopped the honeymoon rate and just basically put
Which is what you get when you initially get your loan?
Yeah, so husband and wife goes in and gets a loan, and they get a 1% break on that first year. They call it a honeymoon rate. Every bank does it, so there's nothing unique about that. So I said, look, why don't you get rid of that and give that to a travel wholesaler that I introduced them to, and they'll give you inexpensive holidays. And it went nuts. They just went crazy. So therefore it was get a home loan. It was 9 words, keep it simple, get a home loan and get a free holiday. And a few years into it, when we scooped up a lot of the low-lying fruit, we said, let's go to the next level. And a mate of mine was doing the Billy Connolly ads for ING at the time. And I asked him, well, how did you get Billy Connolly?
With a very thick accent, Billy.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't do it, so I won't try. Don't try. Basically he said, look, wherever Billy Connolly is in the world, we fly there and we do what we're doing right now. We just film him on the spot and pay him a wad of money, and we come back to Australia and put the ads together. And so I presented to the Greater Building Society, look, why don't we take this holiday program to another level? Why don't we get a spokesperson? And if I could just recommend to whoever's watching this, probably an AFL and rugby league player is not the best person, because they can be naughty from time to time. If you get someone...
There's brand risk.
Exactly.
Reputational risk.
Exactly. And so if you get someone like Jerry Seinfeld, who's a family man, and of course, he's related, I'm sure, to Mother Teresa, then you're very little risk. And so, cut a long story short, that's what we did. We actually chased him, and it took a long time to get him. When I say a long time, 6 months.
Now it's a bit different now, because we're in 2024 right now, and we're in the unfrosted phase of Jerry's career, the movie on Netflix. Yep. And Jerry is absolutely everywhere. He's everywhere at the moment, right? So, it never used to be like that though, did it?
No. Well, I mean, look, when he finished his TV show, he sort of went into hibernation for a little while.
Yeah, for like 10 or 15 years. Barely saw him much at all.
Well, this campaign we're talking about was a dozen years ago. So, he'd been hibernate. He does a lot of Vegas stuff, like shows and stuff, but he didn't do anything in terms of, media. So what happened is that we contacted his management, and I sort of had a good relationship, or formed a good relationship, with George Shapiro, who had been his manager for many years. He's sarcastic, I'm sarcastic, we got on pretty well. And he said, what do you want Jerry to do? I said, just be Jerry. We didn't ask him to play any other role other than just be Jerry. And so the deal was that he would actually criticise in a humorous way the big banks, and why, you probably should not go to them because their customer service is not flash. Why don't you come and get your home loan from the Greater and you get a free vacation? I had to keep on saying to him, no, not vacation, holiday. He goes, whatever, Yeah. And it took a little while, but we got him. And he didn't do it for the money.
What was the secret then? If he didn't do it for the money, what was the thing that you think was the hook?
And
because he wasn't doing a lot. I think I remember you saying, because we've known each other for quite a while, you were saying you'd only previously sort of done an Amex ad and a couple of things. You'd only done a handful of ads at all at that time.
Microsoft and American Express. That was it. Yeah. So the Greater Building Society in little old Australia was a little bit smaller than American Express.
Yeah.
I asked him when I first flew over to New York to meet him, him for the first time, I said, "Why did you do this? You've got more money than God. I mean, why would you do this?" And he said, "I just thought it was funny." He said, "You asked me to take the mickey out of the banks, and I take the mickey for a living. So I thought, well, this would be good fun." Yeah.
So that's it. So in extrapolating some learnings out of that for people who are looking at attracting or wanting to get any brand representative, celebrity for their brands, what were your takes on that from now? Because it is a little bit different time now, isn't it? The access to them is different. So what were your takeaways from that?
Well, now, I mean, look, it was only a dozen years ago,
Yeah, it's
so
not that long ago.
Google was still around. And so therefore, of course, you Google Jerry Seinfeld's management.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty well protected. He's managed by a big Los Angeles agency, and of course his personal manager is this chap called George Shapiro, who only passed away recently, and had been his manager for like a long, long time, forever. And so I just, basically I would say to anyone who's interested in doing something outside the box like this, Google's your best friend. So just basically Google, management of whoever it might be, and depending upon who the superstar is or whether or not they are a superstar, a lot of them are not worried about the money because they've got a lot of money. They're worried about the creative. And in Seinfeld's instance, I mean, his whole career is based on him enjoying being creative. So that's why he said yes, because he didn't need the money. He just said, look, I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, the experience out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we would fly to New York. We'd set up everything.
I was going to say, what were the logistics of the whole thing? How did the function of it work? Because I know there's quite a story around the whole execution of it.
Yeah, look, and I'm glad this podcast is 3 hours so that I can go through.
It is not. I know you could easily fill it. But
Yeah,
no.
of course. I hate talking. Really, what we did is that we found an empty shop in a little country town called Cedarhurst, which is not far from the Hamptons where he lives, because to bring him out to Australia was just about impossible. And so that's what we did. We filled the empty shop with a Greater Building Society signage and the whole thing. So we rebuilt a fake Greater Building Society.
This is where we're taking this person and putting them right down on your level. It seems to have a nice, unpretentious warmth about to it as a metaphor.
We think it's great, but you don't think it might be more controllable and easier if we did it in a set rather than out in the street?
Probably would be, but who cares about easy? That's no fun at all.
Why particularly Cedarhurst? Was there anything like
It was just a little country town, a little bit like Katoomba in Australia. Or, it was a little country town, and we knew that we could block off the street without too much trouble. So we paid a donation to the local council. Would that be a bribe or donation?
It was a donation.
Yeah, donation.
Yes, yeah.
So the mayor closed.
The B word's much better than the B word.
I think so. The mayor closed the entire town down for a day. And so we came in. There was a camera crew of 80-odd people. So when you're dealing with Seinfeld, it's a big shoot. And Jerry just stood outside the fake Greater as if it was in a little country town in Australia. That was the whole idea. And we even had all the number plates of the cars in the street were all New South Wales number plates. And so when you're dealing with Seinfeld, the eye for detail is quite incredible. And he stood outside the bank and just told jokes all day. I mean, jokes as in the scripts. And then we cut it up and we had 30 or 40 commercials that we could play then for the next 12 months.
Yeah, what was he like? What was he like to work with?
Really nice guy. Yeah, lovely guy. Just very much like you see on the TV with his TV show, just really down to earth. There was one particular part where he talks about swap your home loan to the Greater and get a free holiday, and then he'd say, oh, by the way, next week I'll be in front of the butcher shop in Dubbo or something like that. And he'd ask me, because I'd be behind the cameras, JD, give me another name. And I'd say, oh, well, Wagga Wagga. And he goes, okay, well, next week I'll be in front of the, pharmacy at Wagga Wagga. He's give me another name, Curry. He goes, just stop there. Are you taking the you-know-what out of me? I said, no. But he said, why don't they just call it curry? I said, I don't know. I wasn't around when it was done. They made up. And then he said, well, give me another name. And I said, Dunny Do. He said, that's it.
No more. You thought you were taking it?
No more, yeah. No, he's a lovely guy to work with, and I'm sure he says the same about me.
Without a doubt, yeah.
JD, I just want to say that, you are the most professional, most competent, just best to work with marketing person I've ever worked with.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
I'd like to say that.
So how long did the experience go for? What was
3
the
years.
3 years?
3 years.
Okay, so you worked with him for 3 years.
Yeah, so it was a 3-year contract,
Yeah.
And I've never milked it since then. I've never told anyone.
No, I've never heard you mention it at all before. I think you mentioned it when we walked in here this morning to the lady at reception.
If I catch a cab, I say, do you know who's in your back seat? I used to work with Seinfeld, And I'm sure Jerry does the same thing. So
No doubt.
tit for
So,
tat.
so you'll be catching up with him when he's in Australia shortly?
Oh, of course, yeah. Look, it just depends. I'm a little bit busy at the time he's out here, but I'll see what I can squeeze in.
Yeah. So
it's funny, but people must think that when you do these things with these celebrities that you must be best friends, which of course, you mention my name now and you go, who?
Yeah.
And so because he's coming to Australia to do a tour, I've got so many people say to me, any chance of getting us backstage tickets?
well, actually, I've got to admit, the thought did cross my mind because we're big Seinfeld fans in our house and our kids absolutely love him and everything like that, and so do I, and it's the best show in history without a doubt, and we've got tickets for it. So I thought, hang on, I do have an I know someone.
I'll get you backstage tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Won't be for his concert, but I'll get you backstage tickets.
So what was the impact? So let's talk about the impact of this, Jerry. So it was a big thing, 3 years. You were back and forth from the US quite a bit, obviously. Yeah.
The impact, the results were off the charts, crazy. I mean, when the concept of value adding, and for whoever's watching this, I know that if you've got your franchise, then obviously, you've built a wonderful brand and that's fantastic. But if you've got competition out there, my view is from a direct response marketing point of view, you need to have some sort of wow factor, some sort of incentive that's going to make you different from someone else. So in this instance, the Greater Building Society, if they gave you $1 million, it's the same $1 million as you would get from a bank. It's not like Cadbury chocolate versus Nestle. It's the same $1 million. So I said to them, create an artificial wow factor, which was the Happy Meal toy, get a home loan, get a free holiday.
And you use that phrasing a lot, create a Happy Meal too. So that whole campaign that was up and running first, but you sort of boosted it with Jerry, clearly.
Yep.
That's a real, that mechanic is something you apply over everything. It's a template, isn't it? You use that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I tell the story always that I sort of lived in a little country town called Gloucester in New South Wales for a little while. And because when you're in a little country town, the only way I could meet the guys in town was to join the cricket team. I'm the worst cricket player in the world, so therefore I never got to bat. I think they let me field every now and again, but I looked after the esky, okay? But you got to meet guys in town because, this advertising guy went to Sydney all the time and I never met anyone. And there was a butcher in town and he said to me, JD, with that marketing crap that you do, is there any chance you could help me because I've got a butcher that's opened up across the road and he's pretty competitive on the old pricing. I said, we don't want to go down the price discount path because we know where that's going to lead. The answer to your problem is really simple. And he said, what's that? I said, just have a sausage sizzle like Bunnings outside your butcher shop. And I won't bore you with the details, but that's what he did. The other butcher shop eventually closed after 6 months. All they had to do was put a sausage sizzle outside themselves to at least match him, but they don't think that way. So that was his wow factor. That was his Happy Meal toy. He would just give out free sausage, just free. So
like tasters.
My wife, when she was picking the kids up from the school back in those days, our kids were younger, the kids would say, we've got to go to Daryl's butcher shop. Why? Because of the sausage sizzle. So this is what really a Happy Meal toy is all about, is taking their eyes off the price and onto your bonus. And in this instance, it was a holiday. When you turbocharge that with a spokesperson called Seinfeld.
It's a real template.
So I can't give you the exact figures because it's confidential, but we're talking billions and billions and billions of extra dollars in home loans just came in as a result of Seinfeld and the holiday, meshing.
So why did it finish?
Well, the funny part about it, about 2.5 years into the 3 years, I decided to move on. I decided to go out and basically target a different audience, smaller to medium-sized businesses. And so I shook hands with the grader and said, look, I'm moving on. You wouldn't believe it. At that same time, a new board of directors came in, and that new board of directors, when they saw that Jerry upped his price a little bit for the next 3 years, only by a modest amount, decided that, no, who does that yank think he is? We're the new board of directors in here.
We'll put our stamp on things.
Yeah, it's a head office in Newcastle, so I won't mention the name, but they said we could get a particular football player from the Newcastle Knights, a lot cheaper than Seinfeld. I think you could, yeah. Yeah,
I guarantee you can.
And you know what? Within just a few months, they were back into the price war. So all of their ads talked about, 4.2% or 4.3%.
Which is everyone does the same thing.
There's no point of difference. The reason that McDonald's charges so much for its Happy Meal toy is because, Happy Meal box is because of the free toy. I know that toy is made in China because I know the company that put together the Happy Meal in the first place. That toy is made for about 20 cents in China. But because it's seen to be valued in Kmart or, Big W for $4 or $5, then you will pay $8 for the Happy Meal. because
and then some.
you think whatever it is these days. My kids are all growing up now, but the thing is that whatever you're paying for the Happy Meal, you think, well, it's a $4 toy, and no, it's not. It's a 25-cent toy, and so therefore they've been smart, like Kellogg's, for 40 or 50 years to take our eyes off the price because of the free toy. And Amazon do it now with their Prime membership. If you become a Prime member, you get free shipping, free movies, free audio. And so it's really, really important. I don't care what franchise you are. You can tell me till you're blue in the face about, our brand is fantastic. But if you've got a competitor that's similar to you, you better start thinking of an artificial wow factor, a Happy Meal toy.
Excellent. So in wrapping this up, as far as getting great brand representatives for brands that even maybe a little bit out of reach for a brand, what would be your key takeaways and your advice out of your experience from the Jerry stuff? But I know you've done it many, many times in different ways. What would be the key learnings you had out of it?
And I've done it many times because I'm really good.
Yeah, I know.
I just thought I'd mention that too.
You told the receptionist as you walked in.
Exactly. And also one of my greatest strengths, I think, is my humility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look, the takeaway in terms of if you're looking for a spokesperson, look for someone who's going to be relevant to your brand, of course. It just makes sense. And the Greater Building Society's brand was cheeky. It was irreverent. We'd already created that. Somewhat Virgin. Virgin has a shot at Qantas, keep the affair. So they wanted someone who was going to be irreverent. And I won't bore you with the details, but I had pulled off Robin Williams before we got Seinfeld. Okay. Yep. And unfortunately, Robin Williams decided to do a movie, so he was unavailable.
Yep.
Next one was Seinfeld.
Okay.
So that's both of those.
That's a scoop. I've never heard you say that before.
Have I?
No.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, hang around me more often.
That's great. Franchise Everything podcast gets a scoop.
So many more things to show off about. Did I mention my auntie, Mother Teresa? Have I brought that up at all?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway.
So actually, in saying this, though, because we've got a bit of credit here, because you have done a TV show where you've had Michael Jordan on it, Princess Di, all these sorts of people on it. So what I'm trying to get across is you really know what you're doing as far as attracting people to brands and attaching them. So as far as your takeaways go.
That's a really big statement to say that I really know what I'm doing. No, not really. You just wing it,
Yeah. You just keep pushing.
Just keep pushing, yeah. Look, there is a particular, and you haven't got time for this podcast, but there is a particular way to attract these people. And, we have been able to get, over the years, Michael Jordan and Paul Hogan and Meatloaf and a whole bunch of these people to do things, but it's the way that you approach. And there is, I know everyone has their secret sauce, but there is a formula to getting them to at least consider what you've got. So number one, you've got to pick the right personality for your product or for your brand. There's no question about that. Number two, of course, what you've got to do is make sure that they are safe. When you take out a celebrity to do something, most of the time you should take out what they call a death or dishonour insurance policy, so that if they do something wrong, you can bail pretty quickly. And in Robin Williams' instance, because he had come from a drug alcohol background, then the insurance for getting him at the time were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we were prepared to do it because it was Robin Williams. But he had a history of drug abuse. In Seinfeld's instance, when the insurance company went in and checked him, they came back to me and said, we think he's related to Mother Teresa. So the insurance was nothing.
Yeah, great.
So you've got to have someone who has a good chance of not doing something wrong. And of course, the third thing is you just want to make sure that they are just good, honest people, and he comes across like that, and he really is. He's a joy to deal with.
Excellent, mate. Well, thanks for the insights. It's fantastic.
My pleasure.
Huge fan of Jerry. Loved it, mate. It must have been a great experience for you.
It was great. But just before you do finish up, though, I had not watched Seinfeld's show very often. I knew who he was, of course, and so therefore the week before I flew over to meet him for the first time, the advertising crew at the Greater gave me a boxed set of all of these
DVDs.
DVDs at the time. So I had to quickly look. I didn't know who the Soup Kitchen guy was, or Soup Nazi.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I just had to do this, because if there was a question asked of me, at least I had half a clue what it was. But it was a real thrill. And I, as I said to you earlier, I've never really brought it up since then. So
no, ever. That's great. We won't talk about it again. Anyway, thanks for joining us on the Franchise Everything podcast. Hope you've enjoyed. This one's a little bit different. You'll also see some footage of some of the Seinfeld stuff and Greater Building stuff that JD's done. And please, if you like this sort of stuff, you want to see more of this type of thing, comment, like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff there, and we'll catch you in the next one soon.